Welcome to the City Council meeting, and if you'd all please stand, Mr. Hargrove is going to lead us in the flag salute.
Please stand and place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And as you know, we met in closed session prior to convening tonight's meeting, and I would ask our Attorney Galante to please read the announcement coming out of closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council and audience. The City Council met in closed session and discussed each of the items listed on the closed session agenda, beginning with item A, conference with real property negotiator. The property under item 1 is listed by various APN numbers as specifically identified on the agenda, with the negotiating parties being Majestic Realty Company and Orange County Flood Control District in the city of Chino, with price and or terms of lease and or purchase having been discussed. The City Council received an update to those negotiations and no further reportable action was taken. The property under A2 was also discussed, located at 13146 Monte Vista Avenue, with the APN listed on the agenda. The negotiating party being Partida Mary Esparza Living Trust and the City of Chino. Again, the negotiating points were price and terms of lease and or purchase. The City Council provided direction and no further reportable action was taken. Item B is conference with legal counsel. One item of anticipated litigation was discussed under the heading significant exposure to litigation, with Mayor Pro Tem Howie abstaining, not participating in the closed session room as previously announced prior to entering into closed session. The balance of the City Council received an update to that thread of litigation and no further reportable action was taken. That concludes the report out of closed session, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ballantyne, do we have any agenda additions or revisions?
I have no changes to the agenda, Mayor.
Okay, I would like to note that I am going to move item number 29 up after confidential session, after the consent calendar, due to the fact that we have several people here for that item. In your packet is information from the Economic Development Department for the month of July. I encourage you all to review that. And then under public announcements, first, as all of you know, the city continues to ensure we're keeping one another safe by practicing social distancing as we meet in the council chambers. Well, this has limited our ability to call folks up to be recognized. We certainly do not want to miss out acknowledging important programs and proclamations in our community. As such, I would like to announce that for September 2020, we will be recognizing the following proclamations: National Preparedness Month, National Child Obesity Awareness Month, and Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Each of these proclamations aim to bring about awareness on subject matters concerning the life and safety of our residents. I encourage folks to please review the proclamations available in the City Council agenda packet and to please call our administration department excuse me, at 909-334-3304 so they may direct any questions. And next, although we're not in the audience, they are not in the audience tonight, I'd like to recognize Bruce and Roxanne Parafiorito of 13849 Cottonwood Avenue for earning the August 2020 Mayor's Home Beautification Award. Picture of their home is on your monitor. It's because of your hard work that Chino can continue to be a great place to live, work, and play. And we want to congratulate them and thank them for everything that they do for the beautification of our city. Also, I want to give another reminder to please make sure you take the 2020 Census Survey. Taking part in this survey can translate into millions of dollars of more federal funds coming to the Chino community for a variety of programs. So we want to make sure we don't miss out on this really great opportunity. The last day to participate in the 2020 Census Survey is Wednesday, September 30th. So you may see folks from the Census Bureau going door to door to try and gather information. I encourage you all to please participate in this once-in-a-decade opportunity. As of yesterday, Chino has a 72.5% response rate. Every percentage point under 100 means our community is losing out on funding and resources. We don't want Chino shortchanged by 27.5%. We want to get counted, so take the time, please, to fill out the census because the time is running out. For further assistance, please email administration@cityofchino.org or call 909-334-3307. And lastly, we sadly will be adjourning tonight's meeting in the memory of Craig Watkins, who passed away on August 7th. Craig grew up in Chino and committed his entire life to serving the Chino Valley community. After graduating from Cal State Los Angeles, Craig served as a counselor at Boys Republic, worked under Supervisor Gary Ovid on the Airports Commission, and was heavily involved with the Chino Rotary Club. He also served as its president from 2001 to 2002, was the minister of music at First Baptist Church for 27 years, and continuously sought to preserve Chino's unique and rich history for future generations. Craig is survived by his wife, 4 children, 7 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. Craig certainly helped Chino become a better community, and he will be missed. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the council on items that do not appear elsewhere. We can't take action on an item that's not on the agenda, but we'd be happy to hear your concerns. First, I'd like to call up Mr. John Matta from Calvary Chapel, Chino Valley, who's going to lead us in an invocation. So if you'd like to join us, please stand.
Madam Mayor, thank you. On behalf of Calvary Chapel, Chino Valley, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, council members, thank you for this privilege. Let's pray. Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus, and we thank you for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of the city of Chino. Lord, we ask that you help us to act with character and conviction, to help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with love and grace. May you give us the spirit of service and remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be leaders of your people. Help us to see the humanity and dignity in those of this city and to treat all persons with reverence your creation deserves. We ask, Lord, for continuance to guide our mayor with wisdom and discernment. Guide our city manager, our city attorney, and our council members, and all leadership who you entrusted to oversee and lead this city. Please guide and protect our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, first responders. Protect them as they put their lives on the line for this beautiful city every day. Guide our chief of police and our fire chief in their duty to serve and protect. And I ask, Father, that you'd watch over all the families of those mentioned here. And finally, Father, renew us in the strength of your presence and in the joy of helping to build this community worthy of a human person. And we ask this, Lord, in your confident in goodness, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, John. Okay, our next written request to speak is Stephanie Carter. If she doesn't require speaking after all? Okay. Okay, then we have Melissa Campani from Supervisor Hagman's office.
This might be a little better. Well, good evening, Mayor Yolola, Mayor Pro Tem Howie, council members, staff, and of course, community members. Supervisor Hagman did ask me to please invite constituents of the 4th District and, as a matter of fact, residents of San Bernardino County to a shredding event that he has planned for our residents. We know that people have been busy cleaning out, hopefully, and probably have documents that need shredding. And we're hoping that people stop by to our next event so that we can help them take care of their shredding needs. And this is going to be close. It is in the city of Chino Hills. It's going to be taking place on Saturday, September the 26th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. I've been to several of these events, and they are very popular. So please, if you plan on coming, come early. We want to make sure to have plenty of room in the truck. Things happen. We don't, exactly know how many people will be attending. The location is going to be at the McCoy Equestrian and Recreation Center at 14280 Peyton Drive in Chino Hills. And we are asking that you limit your shredding materials to 5 standard size boxes. Thank you very much. And I have some flyers.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, those are the written requests to speak. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. I do have requests to pull item 20 and 21, so I would entertain a motion for the balance of the consent calendar unless the council wishes to have any other items pulled. Okay, there's a motion from Councilman Hargrove, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie. Please vote. And the rest of the items pass 5-0. Item number 20 is the final track map number 19979 for Fallon Crest project. Mayor Pro Tem Howie is recusing himself. So I would entertain a motion from the balance of the council. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Councilman Lucio. Yes. Okay. Okay, the item passes 4 yes with 1 abstention, that being Mr. Howie. Item number 21 is final acceptance of public improvements and development impact fees credit and reimbursement agreement. This item was requested to be pulled by Mr. Stubby Barr. Stubby, would you like to make comments prior to the staff report? After? Okay. Chris you know what? Your name's harder to say than mine.
It is.
Magdoscu.
Perfect. I like that.
Right,
Thank you.
is going to give us his staff report this evening.
All right. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Chris Magdoscu, City Engineer. There are 2 main items for your consideration tonight as a part of your action. That's the development impact fee reimbursement for eligible off-site improvements for the Kimball Business Park project, which are related to water improvements and roadway improvements, as well as acceptance of the public improvements as a matter of releasing of bonds and entering into the warranty period. Just a matter of background for the audience, this is a 2-phase project. There's a phase 1 and a phase 2. Phase 2 is the front that is not built yet. Those are the vacant pads you see in the front. So this is related to the phase 1 buildings, but they did all the off-site improvements as a part of their conditions of approval earlier in the matter to have the infrastructure available to support those improvements. In an effort, a little background on this, in an effort to take items to council sooner than later for acceptance, as you know, the overall picture is for us to bring items when they complete all the off-site improvements in accordance with the plans and specifications and the inspections at a sooner time frame to get bonds released, but also to take those assets into our consideration before they start aging and becoming more of a problem for acceptance later. Same for the diff eligible improvements. We'd like to have those assets available for maintenance sooner than later, and so they're eligible to receive that money as soon as possible. A little background, when I arrived here just shy of 2 years ago, they were under construction, but there was some issues with the ramp design, striping, and some signal pole locations based on the ramps. We went through an arduous, almost 1-year process and plan checking that with the help of our accessibility coordinator, Natalie Sparrow, and some new staff in getting the ramps redesigned, the intersections redesigned to meet accessibility and the laws of the state of California. We have also since verified the quality of the improvements, had done all the inspection, had a very detailed inspection program because we know this is important to council as well as the city. And that was done within a timeline thereafter of the construction. So in a nutshell, we also needed to coordinate this with Eastvale because Limonite was going to be opened at one point, and we wanted to make sure we had all the improvements done in a timely fashion. But that was probably the least of the concerns. But we made sure that everything was built in accordance with plans and specs, vetted out over a long period of time, spent a lot of effort in the field, and had a really great inspection team look at these improvements, and we felt it met the needs to come to City Council for acceptance. That concludes my presentation of the staff report and the project. I'm happy to take any questions or hear public testimony from Mr. Stubby Barr.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Stubby? Let's see, hang on one moment. Fred, because there's public comment in this, do you want me to declare this open for a public hearing?
This is not a public hearing. You may
So
just
it's
accept
okay.
the public comments.
Okay, go ahead, Stubby.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this issue keeps arising. Obviously, my main intent on this, or my main interest, is accessibility. Contrary to what Chris just told you, the project does not meet state or federal accessibility requirements. That's in a nutshell. When the inspectors, and we have an excellent inspection team, when they go out, they are not inspecting for the entire code. The codes are divided into two sections: scoping, which is what you build and where you build it, and the technical requirements, which is what the inspectors inspect. It's similar to a police officer who gives you a ticket for running a red light cannot give you a ticket for running a red light at an intersection where no light exists just because he feels that it should exist there. So inspection of the technical requirements of what was installed is, for the most part, 99% accurate. The problem is not that. The problem is that planning and planning engineering has approved plans that violate a whole bunch of other codes in addition to the accessibility laws. You violate the Streets and Highways Code, violates the California Vehicle Code, violates the California Manual and Uniform Traffic Control Devices, violates the, I don't know, I'm sure I'll think of another one. But in addition to all of these things, even if you ignored all of those, the improvements that have been constructed violate Chino's municipal code. They also violate the general plan via the preserve-specific plan. Preserve-specific plan has certain public elements that are required to be completed, and they are required to be completed. It states so in the design requirements for the preserve in compliance with the Streets and Highways Code, and they are not. So if you vote for this, what you have in the past, many of these, I want to remind you of two things. Two of you were here in 2006 when the resolutions were passed regarding College Park and the preserve, wherein the city vowed that it would not expend any general funds, that the developers would be responsible for all of their own costs. Once you accept these things, you're putting it on the citizens of Chino. And if you accept these, you're inviting a possible litigation, that legal action that you cannot defend. This stuff is pretty black and white. To go into all the detail would take me 5 hours, not 5 minutes, but I hope that you have enough experience with me that you know that I don't enter into these things lightly. This is also not just the developer's fault, although they have licensed engineers that draw the plans. They have been given misdirection by the city staff on many, many, many occasions, which should be no excuse to a professional engineer. He shouldn't be willing to break the law just because someone tells him to. So it's kind of a toss-up. But once we accept these, then the city is generally liable for all of the corrections because you're accepting them. When you accept them as final, you're accepting them in an as-is condition. Thank you.
Any questions of Stubby? Being up here now. Okay, Chris, I would like you to address some of the comments that Stubby has made, and then I would also like to have Fred address some of the comments.
Sure. As I mentioned during the original presentation, we vetted this out, and with all due respect, I understand where he's coming from. We worked really hard with the engineering staff on the consultant side, developer side, if you will, as well as our staff in getting down to detailed ramp design, signal design. Just the scale of the improvements is a lot different than the way it used to be. And we spent a year with them on that, back and forth. A lot of licensed engineers, me being one of them, involved in this, as well as everyone on their side. Contractor of record has a obligation as a licensed contractor to construct things in accordance with the law as well. That's also on that side, but all that is being checked through the inspection process. So we spent a lot of time, I mean, from the time I got here to now, a year and a half to get all the improvements built and inspected properly. We feel we meet the law of everything. In terms of the specific plans, I don't know exactly the specifics of those plans that Stubby is mentioning, that I can't address it if I don't know what I'm violating the MUTCD. It could be many things. So without knowing all those details, I'd be the same way. It'd take me 5 hours to really answer everything. But we have plan checked everything. New transportation manager was on board, plan checked everything from the striping standpoint and the signal. We've all done it collaboratively and collectively, and I feel comfortable in moving forward with accepting these improvements tonight.
Fred?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'd certainly defer to your technical staff on compliance with those particular provisions of accessibility requirements, et cetera. It is true that once the city accepts improvements, public improvements, to the extent they're out of compliance with accessibility requirements, the ADA Title 24, the issue could become a liability in the face of a lawsuit. So you'd certainly want to take that precaution to avoid accepting public improvements that violate those codes.
Well, Stubby's allegations that we have violated more than just the Disabilities Act requirements. I mean, he just gave a whole list of other things that he feels we violated. We need guidance on that. I don't think any of us up here want to approve something that's in violation of the law. We have to trust our staff and our legal advice on these issues. None of us are licensed engineers, so.
I haven't received any specifics on what violations are alleged to occur by accepting these improvements, but just other than what Mr. Barr just testified to.
How critical is the timing of this item?
Well, it would just be a deference of reimbursing the developer. It's only critical in that, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's better to take the improvements when they've met all our criteria sooner than later and not have it last longer, because that's when things crack. And so time is of the essence, but I'd want to make the council comfortable in making a decision.
Well, time is of the essence, but if it's, you just mentioned if it cracks. If it's faulty construction and cracks right away or within a year or two, then we shouldn't be accepting it, and the contractor should stand behind his products, right?
Right, and that warranty period that we will be entering, that 1-year warranty, will cover these sort of defects that are within reason. Obviously, there's other improvements being accepted too, water mains and things that are below ground as well that we would have as part of our maintenance activities. Street lights are on them, so that's something that they will already have as part of their own lighting district, if you will. They set up their own district, so the street lights fall out. But any public asset that falls within the public improvements that we are accepted tonight that we would take on would be under the 1-year warranty period. So we'd have that 1-year chance to go back. Example would be if we have a bad year of rain and things get washed out, it's very easy for a developer to come back and say, I didn't cause that. You know, I could have had this done before it rained. This is the kind of things we're trying to avoid. We're not trying to hurry before you. I would never do that. When I'm told that everything is done right and we're working with the team, I would not want to bring something before you that I didn't feel that met the letter of the law. I just wouldn't do that.
Yes.
And
Councilman Rodriguez,
I agree with the mayor in the sense that
turn on your mic. There, now you're on.
Okay, there it is. As I was saying, I agree with the mayor that in the sense that ADA is very clear, and I would like to have verification so that we are within the law, the federal law, because it is black and white, for us to be careful.
Calvin?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn because it's not like we just spent a week or two. You spent a year and a half with multiple people working on this thing. So, and then you're saying you feel comfortable from the city standpoint. But, and I do know that even if we approve everything, things are always, or it seemed like ADA-wise, are always changing out there. It looks like we're constantly changing different ramps and different things like that. So it sounds like even though you're finalizing this, that not everything gets built exactly, to those specifications. It seems like we're always seems to be changing some of those. So I'm kind of torn whether we should just go ahead because we make changes anyway. So that's kind of my feeling on this matter. I mean, it's not like we just started on this thing.
Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So just my thoughts that come about is I recognize that at least the 2 years that I've been up here is that we've had at least direction from the council to staff, administrative staff, and I'm sure it's been pushed down to them that there are many improvements that have been conducted out in the preserve, and they've went years without us accepting those. And then now we're going back to those developers and telling them, hey, 10 years ago you did something that wasn't right, and we get into this argument. I've always kind of grown up through my career and even my own personal life is that you hire the best people you can, and you give them the abilities to approve these projects, inspect them. I'm talking about the staff. It seems like you've spent a year, 2 years on these things. You've had experts in the field that have looked at this, and you're telling us that they're meeting compliance. My only question would be that if we sent it back to you, what are you going to change? Are you going to say that, yeah, they were wrong and we're wrong and we're going to change it? Or are you going to stand by what you believed was at the time correct? So I can't imagine that you don't believe and you haven't spent the due diligence to make sure that what you're bringing to us as a council is correct. Now, I don't doubt in the least bit, I think Mr. Barr spends an exorbitant amount of time in details that maybe even staff don't even look at. And I appreciate every time he comes up here and gives us his input. I will tell you, I know it may take you 5 hours to explain, although I didn't hear anything that you told me was deficient, other than it's all wrong. So with that, I can't, support that something's wrong if I don't know what those things are. So anyways, that's my thoughts.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, in looking at the community directly behind my house, I know that we initially had some ramps that apparently didn't meet the proper code, and then they've been redone and they're in a different shape that I've never seen before. And I'm assuming that's the new compliance. So my only thing would be that, obviously, like Councilman Hargrove said, Stubby does go out there and looks at all the different things out there. So I'd be interested in seeing a detailed list of what he says is not within compliance, and then share that with our staff to see whether or not it truly is or isn't before we approve it. Because once we approve it, like we said, we then bought it.
Okay, then I would suggest that we pull this item for 2 weeks till the next meeting. And Stubby, if you would get your concerns in writing to our staff so they can address it.
May I address that?
Yes.
I have given these concerns to staff. In 2017, I sent photographs when this construction was first started, before there were any approved plans. I sent photographs to all of the staff that was here at the time, including Matt, that the caissons, the foundations for the traffic signals were being installed in the wrong location. That, I believe, was in either January or February of 2017. And I have followed up consistently with that, including with Robert Rodriguez when he was doing the plan checking on those items. I was sent probably 3 or 4 different iterations of the plans for the 3 intersections on Kimball that front this project. And every single time the red lines that Robert and I did we literally spray painted the sheet red. None of these corrections have ever been taken into consideration. The primary issue is the fact that if you've read the specific plan for either the College Park or the preserve, you know that we have a paseo system. This is a pedestrian-friendly community, supposedly. Those paseos are, in actuality, shared use paths. They're governed by Streets and Highways Code, and they have mandatory requirements. For instance, those curb ramps that you look at meet all of the technical requirements for a sidewalk, but they don't meet any of the technical requirements for a shared use path. A shared use path of 14 feet requires a curb ramp of 14 feet. So that, as has happened to me on 2 occasions in the preserve, I'm not going down a curb ramp when some guy in spandex is trying to pedal his bike up the same 4-foot wide ramp. So if you want a detailed list, it will be very extensive. I am more than happy to meet with staff and demonstrate to them through past communications that they're already aware of all of these issues and that they should have been corrected.
Okay, well, we need this resolved somehow. So I would appreciate it if you would get with the staff, and then staff, you provide us with the resolutions or the suggestions at the next council meeting.
I will also, sorry, Mayor, I may also add that I'll look at an alternative that we could also do in terms of acceptance, partial acceptance was something we've done in the past where certain improvements that are not on the list, so we can kind of keep that rolling. I'll see if that's available. So it might see a little bit of a dual type of thing involved at the next meeting.
Okay.
I would like to clarify. I am only referring to the street improvements, not to utility improvements and not to reimbursement agreements. My objection is only to the street improvements themselves.
I understand. Okay, then this item will be pulled and brought back to us at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move, with consideration of the people that are here for the item, I'm going to move item number 29 up. And that is sewer connection within this Chino sphere of influence. I'd like to ask for a staff report from our city manager, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. San Bernardino County, in conjunction with developers in the city's sphere of influence, have requested Monte Vista Water District to explore providing sewer service in the county unincorporated areas. Pursuant to the city's current adopted policy, sewer connections in the sphere are permitted, provided that land use is consistent with the city's general plan. Furthermore, the property is required to be annexed into the city of Chino. Prior to 2018, the council's policy allowed for sewer connections in the unincorporated areas in the form of an irrevocable agreement with the promise that the property would one day be annexed into the city. Again, these agreements were allowed provided that the land use was consistent with the city's general plan. Monte Vista Water District's board has scheduled a special called meeting for September 2nd with the intent to authorize staff to proceed with the sewer service study. As you're aware, San Bernardino County maintains land use jurisdiction in the unincorporated areas. As such, Monte Vista Water District is deferring all land use decisions to the county. Staff requests direction for 2 items. First, consider the attached draft letter in the staff report, which articulates that development activity in the sphere is not hindered by sewer connections, but rather by development that is inconsistent with the city and county's general plan. Secondly, the council may consider modifying its existing sewer connection policy. Should this occur, a resolution would be brought back to the next council meeting for adoption. Presented up on the screen and on your screens, the council screens, is you can see, it's kind of hard to pick from here, but all the yellow area kind of shows where Monte Vista Water District, that's kind of their jurisdiction, and that's the area in which they provide water service. You'll see the red parcels. Those parcels have irrevocable agreements with the city, and there's probably a little over 100 in total. But we just wanted to, for background purposes, wanted you to kind of see what the area that we're discussing. Also, I want to note that you received a letter from Bob Bocock, who is the consultant for Monte Vista Water District, and he's present here today if you have any questions. But that concludes my report, and I'll certainly answer any questions the council may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This isn't a public hearing, but I do think we need a record for any future action. So should I declare it a public hearing so that we officially get a record, or just note that we,
Just simply inviting any testimony is all that's
is
required.
okay? All right, so before council comments, I would like to ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the council. Bob, you wrote a letter. Would you like to address the council?
Sure. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I did write a letter. My letter speaks for itself, but I'd like to stand before you tonight and tell you I'm here as an advocate of the Clean Water Act. This particular area in the county has several thousand septic tanks that have caused significant impairment to our groundwater resources locally. I'm as excited about the opportunity to eventually get those all cleaned up, working with Monte Vista Water District and San Bernardino County on grant funding to facilitate that. But every opportunity begins with a first step. And if we're able to take advantage of private financing, it's not a developer, it's several developers who have approached San Bernardino County and Monte Vista Water District with this opportunity to use private funds in order to kick this program off to where we can get those several thousand septic systems removed from service and sanitary sewage collection actually done, will be a giant step forward for this community. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else that's here this evening that would like to address the council? Yes, sir, Stubby?
Thank you once again. I'd just like to point out that if the land use and the street improvements comply with the city, that I don't think anybody would be objecting to the annexations. So that it would also result in the same result, which is necessary. We do need to eliminate the large number of septic systems. I like the letter. I think it could be sterner, and I think that it should include some comment on the fact that Monte Vista is in kindergarten when it comes to sewer. They're a water district. So that's my only comments. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else would like to address the council? Justin, I see you're in the audience. Would you like to say a few words?
Honorable members of the City Council, I did not come tonight prepared to provide comment. Oh, and let me introduce myself. I apologize. My name is Justin Scott-Coe. I'm the General Manager for Monte Vista Water District. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak. We are holding the second meeting. The board requested at the deference for Mayor Ulloa's communication to our board president requesting a week delay in any board action on this item. The board directed staff to set a special meeting for tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, in order to consider the item. The item is simply to explore the potential of activating what we call latent power as a county water district to provide sewer service in response to requests by two developers. They have requested sewer service. We are in an exploration stage if the board so directs, and we will have a conversation with those who may be interested. We will also better understand the need for sewer service within the area. There are definitely very many potential environmental benefits. It's also a very beneficial service to provide within a service area. And we, as a special district, are only a service provider. We provide services that we are authorized to provide. We currently provide potable and non-potable retail water service for a service area of about 10 square miles. We also provide potable wholesale service to the city of Chino Hills under contract. And when requested for service, we would simply want to explore and give the board sufficient information to make that determination as a public agency. I'm here simply to answer any questions if you have any, and to report back to the board what I heard tonight at the City Council meeting. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you for coming, Justin. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on this issue? Okay, we'll turn it over to council discussion. Any comments from council members? Tom?
Well, technology. Yeah, I don't see any reason why Monte Vista shouldn't providing sewer service. They already provide water to the city of Chino. Obviously, this property is owned by the county. The county controls the zoning, and they control any projects that would come to that. So I think basically don't have a problem with Monte Vista looking at it. I don't know if they're in the kindergarten stage of sewer. That's an interesting statement.
Not quite even kindergarten,
Yeah, well, maybe, I don't know, but.
not even preschool yet.
Is that right? Yeah. Well,
Well, they don't do it.
you got to start someplace,
Why
so.
they have to study it.
But I think studying's fine. I don't see a real issue with that. I do have a little bit of issue with the letter that's been proposed, and I'd like to make a comment. Can I make a comment about that now on the letter? The letter indicates, let me read a little section of it here. As you may be aware, it's the second paragraph of the letter. It says the city has received proposals from developers who have purchased property at risk in the county unincorporated area with full knowledge of the existing city and county land use designations. In these instances, the city council has denied their request to deviate from our general plan. And although that has happened in the past, we have deviated from the general plan. We did with an annexation down near Chino Avenue, where we did annex the property and change the zoning from R2 to 4.5. So you probably want to take that out because that's not a true statement. Although we have actually approved a project within our city limits through annexation and land use. We deviated from our general plan in that, but changing the zoning. So I would just change that in the letter from that standpoint.
Okay, we'll talk about that further.
Okay.
Any other comments from council?
Yes. I see that it's been established in 1927, so myself with a background in education, that's 93 years in preschool. I think they've grown a little bit, maybe quite a bit, probably maybe sixth grade. Okay. Anyway, my thing when I see this is having been a lifelong resident even now, water is extremely important, not just for the residents, but just for human life. It's a value that we need to value. It's a value that's essential for living. And if we take a look at that, as you mentioned, the water could be and is being polluted, which is not good. A couple days ago, I read an article that Flint, Michigan, and you all can remember about Flint and their problems with water, just settled for $600 million. And it was a struggle for those residents. But they finally settled with a huge lawsuit. I don't think the city is ready for even $100 million lawsuit. But the value is that people could die. It affects families, young families. It affects youth, infants, those of us that have infants at home, elderly. So it's the value of water for essentially living. Very, very essential. And if it's possible for the water district to go ahead and do this study, because what I understand too is maybe these sewer pipes are all over the place. And something to be consistent would be cement pipes. My background again, my grandfather had built cement pipes in this sense for all the agricultural, for all the dairies, and they did it for many, many years, my uncles. And cement pipes last a long time, a lot longer than septic tanks. And I would be in favor of taking a look, the district, and seeing, what could be done. Is it going to be in parts? Is it going to be in bigger sections? What's the study going to say? Another thing would be that it's essential. Eventually, down the road, there will be growth with our anticipated people wanting to live in this area, Chino. It's very unique. So to come up to date from preschool to maybe junior high would be a good thing, or maybe even high school. So it's a positive thing for everyone all the way around. And I think it would be very beneficial for the entire population, for all the residents and future residents of Chino. So I would be in agreement, let's look at the study. And one last question. I would understand that would the district be paying for the replacement, or the developers, as you mentioned, Justin?
Without having conducted the study yet, I don't want to be too determinative, but we are restricted by law, as all water providers are, as yourselves included, to ensure that there is no cross-subsidy between different classes of customer or between different types of
Equitable,
service.
in other words.
So we are enjoined by law from our water customers providing a subsidy for sewer customers. So it would have to all be paid for by the sewer customers.
And I would think the second question and the last one, because I have a tendency sometimes to talk a little bit more, I've been told. But let's say you guys go in there and say, well, the pipes, sewage pipes would have to be larger. Would the district also provide that service in enlarging them?
The sewer, the district, again, just speculating at this point, the district would size pipes appropriately for projected development. And I want to emphasize, we are not a land use agency. We would rely on the land use agency.
The focus is just water, not land usage, only water, for the protection of the residents.
Yes, sir.
Potential residents. Okay.
Mr. Councilman, just briefly, as I said, all things begin with a first step. So the developer that would make application, much like they would make application to the city of Chino or the city of Ontario or any of the cities in the area, would make application. They would have standards and specifications. The standards and specifications are going to be equal to or greater than those that are in the city of Chino today. I am not in kindergarten. I've got a little bit of gray hair, what's left, and have established sewering agencies and water utilities in California, Arizona, Nevada, many very successful, written the standards and specifications. Justin, my former employee, actually helped write some of those standards and specifications for those utilities. So it's not something we've done. It's important to understand that we're excited about this because there are improvements that are going to be needed in the county. And we think by coordinating water service that's already there that belongs to Monte Vista in side-by-side coordination with the sewer service and the gas service, that we could actually get streets and things like that improved in coordination with a lot of this grant funding. So it expands beyond that. But we're focused on water, sewer, and stormwater service, which is what the county water code authorizes. And I've been telling them it's not their right to get into the sewer business, it's their responsibility.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Hargrove.
Okay, just real quick thoughts off the top of my head, because I hadn't had a chance to really ingest this letter, but I do appreciate you writing it. I'm all for feasibility studies. We're doing our own in the sphere of influence in the unincorporated area. And I know it takes time to do those things. So I think it's a way for agencies to look at whether that's their responsibility, as you said, their responsibility towards those that are in those areas and outside of those areas. What is the cost associated? That everybody knows that it always comes down to a matter of cost, quite honestly. Otherwise, everyone would be doing everything if they could. I will say that the only concern I have in terms of this is the timing of it. I think it's an end around for some people to look at. So I just want to make sure that as Monte Vista is here and has representatives, that they don't get duped into the fact that these are end arounds for zoning for the city, because we're going to maintain and stand by our zoning and our general plan. And we expect the county to do the same thing. Those are planning documents that are just as important as these feasibility studies. So I'm all for it, and I'm all for private developers paying for it, quite honestly. I don't think the public should pay for it necessarily. I just hope that, the resident that has a septic tank up in the northeastern portion of it is just as important as those that are on the border that want to build a 30-unit development. It's just as important to him to get that sewer connectability to him as it is to get to those 30 homes. So that's generally my comments about that. Thank you.
Mr. Lucio, nothing? Okay. I have quite a few comments. This really isn't a sewer issue. It truly isn't. It's more of a land use issue. The city of Chino is willing to extend sewer. As long as they comply, the landowner complies with our general plan. Or in the case of an area that we did change the zoning, if the circumstances were such that the city council felt that the land use change was appropriate for that area and fit in with the surrounding neighborhoods. What we're experiencing with the county is some strange permissions of items to be built that sometimes absolutely do not fit within the neighborhood at all. There's no continuity. Case in point, there is a development moving forward right now in the sphere of influence that is a religious structure on a nearly landlocked piece of land with a couple of tiny egress and points of access to the piece of property that's completely surrounded by horse property. And this facility is going to be on a septic tank. The neighbors in that area that surround that piece of property were vehemently opposed to it because it doesn't fit the neighborhood at all. But the county went ahead and permitted it. So that structure's going forward. There's another structure up in the extreme north part of the county that is another religious type building on, I think it was either 1 or 2 acres of land. Again, didn't fit the surrounding neighborhood at all, and it's on septic tank. As you know, there was a housing development that was proposed to the city of Chino that was not in compliance with our general plan, nor was it in compliance with the county's general plan. And our 2 general plans don't necessarily match. And another application for a care facility in an area that again is large lot animal keeping properties. And they wanted to hook to the sewer. And we said no because it doesn't comply with our general plan. It's been mentioned lightly, we're in the process, we started this last year, of doing a sphere of influence update, general plan update, that will overlay the entire sphere of influence area. We know that some of our areas that were planned many years ago are not appropriate any longer, but we're not sure what they're going to be. There's no parks planned in those areas, there are no schools planned in those areas, and what's being built right now is a hodgepodge, which isn't appropriate because eventually we will annex that entire area that's shown on the map that's yellow. And what we will be eventually annexing is going to be a very difficult area to sustain, okay? People deserve to have parks, they need public facilities, community centers, that sort of stuff, and there is nothing like that planned in the county's general plan nor ours. So it's time that there be a master plan put on this area, which we are in the process of doing. COVID got in the way. We weren't able to get the public input that we desired. We've hired a consultant to look at it, nor has the council had an opportunity to go over the draft yet. Anyway, what we're hoping happens is that the study will come back that will give us a logical planning for the entire area. In order to have a healthy community, you need a balanced growth option so that citizens have options as they move through different stages in their lives. Apartments, condominiums, small houses, maybe duplexes, a little bit larger lots for those that have RVs or whatever, want a swimming pool. Not everybody wants to live in a stack and pack. So to have a true healthy community, you need options. You need parks, you need schools, You can tell from the map, that's a very large area that will someday be annexed, and it needs to be planned appropriately. When Supervisor Aguirre was the county supervisor, he worked very cooperatively with the city of Chino. And when an application was applied, went to the county for application, if it did not comply with the city of Chino, he ensured that it would comply, or that we were, willing to, willing to perhaps be flexible on it. We used to do irrevocable agreements and put people on the sewer who would sign the agreement that they would someday annex into the city of Chino. We decided to stop that extension because nothing was annexing in. It was just kind of being a hodgepodge. So when a structure is constructed under the county umbrella, all of the building fees, all of the improvements, that kind of stuff, any kind of revenue goes, of course, to the county. Nothing comes to the city of Chino. When we annex the area eventually, the property tax revenue usually does not fall under the original formula, and the county still maintains some of the income. So the burden of upkeep goes to the city of Chino without the true fair share of revenue. This area does need to be on sewer. I will take exception to what you said, though, Mr. Rodriguez, because the cases that you talked about where in Flint, Michigan and stuff, totally different circumstances. There was some very, very bad industrial wastes and that sort of stuff that was causing horrible, horrible issues. The people that are served water in this area are served water from Monte Vista, and it's very good quality water. There is a pollution happening to the groundwater basin. We know that. We all attend some of us attend all the water master meetings, and we know we've got pollutions, and we know that eventually things have to go on the sewer. We know that. But again, this is really not a sewering issue. It's a land use issue.
I disagree.
I know you do, and
I'll speak after you again.
and that's fine. But this is a completely different situation. The full impact, if you extend the sewer, you will be looking at some of the same stuff that we would be looking at if we indeed served sewer service to this area. And that is, you're going to be facing a difficulty just like we are if the master plan that we're going to come up with is not adopted by the county and development continues to happen. Your urban water management plan is built on a general plan. And I don't know, Justin, whether you look at the city of Chino or whether you look at the county. You probably look at the county. But the development that's happening is not in compliance with their general plan either. It's changing. And so your projections on water usage for the future, on what you're going to have to provide, won't necessarily be what you see on their general plan. And if you look historically, what is being accepted and granted permission to be built, it could be drastically different than even what you're trying to project. And the same with us, trying to figure out how to effectively serve that area with a loosey-goosey general plan that isn't complied to. It makes it very difficult to plan the appropriate infrastructure that will be needed to serve that area and be effective. Just wanted to bring up those types of issues. I know you're not a sewering agency now, so I know there's a lot of details you're going to have to look at. Bob, you know that. You're not an IEUA member. You'll have to become that. We're in negotiations with the contract now with all the member agencies. That will have to change with the negotiations. The lines, you're either going to have to hook into our lines or IEUA's lines. And again, that's going, if you hook into some of ours, that'll impact on how we size or eventually have to change the size of our lines depending on what's going to be built in the area. It's complicated. And Bob, you and I had talked about that before when you were good enough to call me to give me a heads up that you were going to be doing this study. So I appreciate the fact that you waited one day to have your meeting. I think the study does need to be done. If there's grant funding out there, that's fantastic. And I would wholly support the area being on sewer, whether it's from you or whether it's from us. But my main concern, again, is that land use planning in this area is critical. And if it stays in the county and the county is just going to carte blanche, give everybody permission to build whatever they apply for, we're going to end up with a nightmare in that area that we eventually will have to serve. So again, we're pushing forward with a study, a sphere of influence study, on trying to replan that area into something appropriate where there is a variety of types of development so that people can stay in the city of Chino. For instance, if people now want land, they're now moving out to Beaumont or wherever, just so that they can get some space. We need space, we need homes with space, we also need the smaller units as well. We've had, a frustrating thing for me is that we have had developers propose development and try to sell it under the guise of being affordable. And so this one particular proposed development that was going to be on Francis, it was called the Francis Estates, was going to be marketed as affordable for first-time home buyers, and they were in the $800,000 market. I don't know how anybody can say that's affordable for first-time young home buyers. But, you know, builders are gonna do what they're gonna do. You know that as well as I do. I'm concerned with the continuity in that area. We're gonna push forward with our sphere of influence study, come up with a master plan, and hope to convince the landowners in the area to go ahead and annex into the city of Chino so that they can have surety in what is going to be in their neighborhood. Whether they've lived there a long time or looking forward to selling and move. Anyway, kind of long-winded, but it isn't just a sewering issue. It's far more than just providing sewer service. You know, if there was grant funding out there that we had access to, and we can get this, you know, land planned appropriately and get buy-in from the landowners, we would love to be able to apply that for that also if you don't end up doing it. But again, my concern is continuity and development so that we end up with an area that is a quality area to live in. Justin, we're on your water system up in my area. Our sewer is from the city, but Monte Vista provides water. It's very good quality water. Almost everybody in our area is at septic tank, which is not affecting the water quality in our area, as you know, because we both belong to the JPIAs that we have up there, and we share well sites and that sort of thing. But anyway, long-winded, but it is far more than just a sewering issue.
One of the biggest values that we have in Chino is this, the quality of life. And as a councilman, I am here and I'm obligated to protect life in Chino. It is water. And if the water is being contaminated, people will get hurt. People will die, get sickened, and it can get worse. No, we can't compare to Flint, but this is what happened in Flint. And it could happen in other areas. So the value, that's one of the biggest values, is water for anyone.
You're preaching to the choir. I have been on these water agency committees, Councilman Rodriguez, for
I didn't ask you what committees
years.
you're in. What I'm saying is,
I
Justin
realize
and Bob had already said it's not land use, it's water, to fixing up the water. And I think that's extremely important.
It is important. No one's
No,
arguing
it's number
that.
one, life, quality of life. You don't have water, you're dead in 3 days.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Councilman Rodriguez, I think everyone here realizes that. But,
I'm glad you do.
boy, you're sarcastic. Okay, we're going to let this go. I want to thank you for being here this evening. Do any council members have any other questions? or
Just,
comments?
you made some great points on a lot of the stuff you had. This particular area is a huge area. It's going to take, I don't know how many years it's going to take to develop to be finally done. But if you look at what we've done in the preserve in 13, 14 years, we're not even halfway done with that. So to do a new general plan here to completely try to get everything to, even get it all built out, because there's a lot of big properties here. This isn't going to be a 5-year process. This is going to be a 20, 25-year process. to get this whole area into a very quality built area up. And I agree, it does need, but the septic tank situation up there, the county is not allowing them to put in new septic tanks.
Yes, they are. They already are permitting it. They are permitting it now.
Huh?
They are already
They're
permitting it.
starting to do that now?
Well, they did it for the temple.
No,
They
I
did it-
meant the ones that are failing, the people that have failing septic
Oh,
tanks.
if they're not near a sewer, they're allowing them to rebuild it. They have
Right.
to. They
Okay.
can't just say
All
you
right.
can't have
But
facilities.
some of these people are close to a sewer line, and they will not allow them to
Right,
to-
and that
to
may be
redo those.
something that we, the council, reconsider.
Right.
You know, if someone is right next to our lines and they do have a
Well,
health
we have,
issue.
we have to talk about their irrevocable
You're right,
agreements
right.
again, see what we're
Exactly,
gonna do with that thing.
exactly.
But I'm just saying, this is gonna be a long process,
Oh,
definitely,
absolutely.
for years and years it's gonna take.
I mean,
to
the
develop this all.
preserve was predominantly, the master plan was put together under one
Right.
big developer who was
Right.
able to front the money for the infrastructure.
Right.
You don't have that here. These
Right.
are all
It's gonna
kinds
be-
of sizes of
It's gonna be a
lots.
challenge.
And it probably, gosh, our area annexed, what, 35 years ago?
Yeah.
And we still have areas that are unimproved
right.
because you can't do a big landmass. So yeah, it's gonna be a long time.
Mm.
But again, a hodgepodge, little teeny tiny pieces here and there is gonna lead to neighborhoods that are not compatible. Do you know what I mean? Because you're gonna get smatterings of things instead of something planned with continuity. I mean, there's no parks planned in that area,
Right,
Tom.
oh, no,
None.
they're gonna have to put in parks and.
Well,
and
we
schools and
will
stuff.
with
Yeah.
our master plan. The county's
Yeah.
not gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Right,
So if it stays county and hodgepodge, there's not gonna be any parks.
yeah, but they're not gonna hodgepodge 40-50% of this whole area. It would take 15 or 20 years to do
If
that.
it never annexes to Chino, it will.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, okay?
Anyway, and then addressing your comment with the letter, we might revise that paragraph a bit, but I don't agree with taking it out entirely. Yeah, we can change, modify it a bit. Any other last minute comments? Okay, well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming this evening.
So Mayor, just to be clear, I want to get clear direction from the council. We're going to go ahead and proceed with sending the letters. Is that the desire of the majority of the council?
Yes, we'll talk a little bit about modifying that second paragraph a bit,
Okay.
acknowledging that there
I just think
have
what you, maybe that last sentence should say, in these instances, the current city council.
Or predominantly.
we'll,
But it's just wordsmithing that.
Yes,
Okay,
it's
so we'll
wordsmithing.
do that. I just want to make sure that the council's comfortable with sending the letter, first of all.
is the balance of the council okay, yes.
Okay, and then the second question is whether or not you want us to come back to entertain the discussion as it relates to irrevocable agreements, or you just want to table that item?
I think we should bring it back
Okay,
to the next council meeting,
okay,
or as soon as possible.
okay. So when I'm bringing this back to the council, it's the discussion of reviving the reciprocal agreement. So in the case of Councilmember Hargrove's mentioning, if there's an individual that's just one property that's consistent with the general plan, that we would entertain their connection to the sewer. Okay, that's clear direction, thank you.
Okay. Thank you again, gentlemen.
Real quick.
Yes, Bob, come up to the microphone, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the City Council, what I did hear that I don't believe is in the letter, and I deeply appreciate, is you support the idea that we look at this. We find out what it's going to take. You might want to add that to the letter, if you can, since we're going to be correcting it anyway.
I would encourage there to be open dialogue between Monte Vista and us,
I talk to
obviously.
you two almost every week. so-
Well, I know, water master meetings, right?
So
Well,
I would intend to keep the dialogue open.
via Zoom.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
again, when it comes to, if it looks like you're gonna have to hook into the city of Chino's pipes, and depending on what's being, we're gonna need to know that.
Sure, and it was
consider
no intention
capacity.
to ever jump the gun on getting ahead of the study, but I've read in detail, there is an Inland Empire Utilities Agency study from 2018 that attempted to look at the sewer master plan for the city of Chino that wasn't done. And so, as that gets updated, we may force you to do your sewer master plan faster than you want to.
Cool.
So, thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much. Okay, then we'll move back to item number 23, which is a public hearing, and this is prior to a vote of the council on the next few items. Any member of the audience will have an opportunity to address the council on any of the public hearing items. Council requests, but it's not required that you provide your name and address prior to making any remarks. Item number 23, annexation to the Landscape Lighting District 2002-1, Zone 82 for site approval PL 160671. This item is to approve Resolution 2020-055, ordering the annexation of site approval PL 16-0671 into the Landscape and Lighting District number 2002-1. Annexation Zone number 82 with G&SS Restaurant Corporation, doing business as Andy's Burgers, for the project located at 4616 Riverside Drive in Chino. I'd like to declare the public hearing open and request a staff report from Chris Magdoscu.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, Chris Magdoscu, City Engineer. First, I'd like to say it's exciting for a family to reinvest in the city and build a brand-new facility across the street and expand their business, and they've been able to survive the times right now. So I just want to say that personally, I think that's a fantastic thing for the city to have move forward. As you know, the typical conditions of approval in the policy is that when you construct a project that requires street lighting, that street lighting gets annexed into a landscape district to lighten the burden on the general fund. The restaurant itself is only going to construct 2 new street lights. One will be on Riverside Drive, and one will be on Wright Avenue. The existing utility pole with a light on it now will be removed as a part of that process, and brand-new streetlights will be installed. Those are the 2 lights as a part of the project. Getting us here tonight, you approved resolution number 2002-031 on June 16th of this year, ordering the preparation of the engineer's report as a part of the 2-step annexation process and protocol and state law for annexation proceedings as described in your staff report. The estimated assessment is approximately $602 per year, which will be adjusted based on actual costs that always occur and changes in CPI. In conclusion, staff recommends approving resolution number 2020-055, ordering the annexation of PL 16-0671 into LLMD District 2002-1, also known as Annexation Zone number 82. Thank you, and that concludes my staff report. I'm prepared to take any questions.
Thank you, Chris. I do have one question.
Sure.
The old building that they will be vacating, do you know what is being proposed for that site?
You know, I forgot. They told me once. I cannot remember. Maybe Nick might know if he was in the past talking with the staff, but I'm not sure if they're going to hold that property and leave the building alone and lease it. But we'll find out and at least get back to the council on what they're going to do.
Bring back A&W room here.
Is that what was there before?
Yes, it was. Councilman Hargrove.
So Chris, you talked about lighting. I hadn't thought about this before when I was either part of the planning commission or in the audience. There was some complaints by residents moving across because there's a residential area north of that building. Is this lighting going to affect up that street at all to illuminate it greater, which isn't a bad thing necessarily, or have you received any complaints about they don't want to be lit up if we're even in that vicinity or close proximity?
Sure, I'll start with the last question. I have not heard of anything. Neither has staff. We've been working on this project for a couple of years. I will say that the new street light is actually on Wright Avenue is going to be closer to Riverside Drive. Right now, it's up at the one boundary, so it's actually going to get further away from residential homes at this point.
Very good.
Yep. In fact, there's one across the street now in front of residential homes. It's on the opposite side that will remain in place, but this light's going to be moved further away, so should reduce that glare.
Any other questions from council members? Okay, then is there any member in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Anybody want a hamburger? Okay, seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing and I will entertain a motion. Oops. Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Hargrove, second from Councilman Lucio, and the item passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor.
Item number 24.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
I don't believe there was a vote on the prior item. I didn't want to interrupt the public hearing, but on item 29 related to the sewer connections.
Did we need a vote?
There should be some definitive direction to issue the letter and also on bringing back those irrevocable
Okay, I think we did provide direction. We're going to send the letter wordsmith item, the second paragraph, and then as soon as possible, bring the item about the irrevocable agreements back to council.
I would just suggest a motion, a
Okay,
second,
can I
to
have a motion
clarify
to
that.
that? Motion from Councilman, or Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Lucio. Item passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to item number 24, intention to establish Community Facilities District number 2020-1 to provide city services. Conduct a public hearing to establish Community Facility District 2020-1 for the purpose of levying a special tax to provide vital public services. I'll declare the public hearing open and ask for a staff report from our purchasing manager, Daniel Vest.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. In 2008, the city formed Community Facilities District number 2003-3 Improvement Area number 5 to levy special taxes to pay for vital city services, including public safety, street, road maintenance, lighting of parks, and other costs within the district. However, the maximum special tax rate for this CFD does not adjust annually for inflation. Given the ever-increasing costs of services being provided, CFD number 2021 is being formed to replace CFD number 2003-3 Improvement Area 5, which will include an escalator for the services special tax. All future projects will be annexed into the CFD 2020-1 and will be adjusted annually with the Consumer Price Index. Tonight's actions are to adopt the required resolutions to establish CFD 2020-1, call for a special election, immediately hold the special election, and tally the election results. It is recommended that the City Council adopt the proceedings outlined by the Mayor this evening. This concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Okay, do any members of the council have questions of staff? Okay, seeing none. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the council on this issue? Okay, seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing. Okay, at this time, we're ready to call for a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2020-053. It's a motion from Councilman Lucio, second from Councilman Rodriguez. And the item passes unanimously. Okay, the resolution just adopted establishes Community Facilities District 2020-1, a future annexation area, and calls for a special election. Okay, Angela, will you please open the ballots?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, the city did receive one ballot. All ballots have been cast in connection with the election to establish the Community Facilities District 2020-1 in a future annexation area. The results of the election were unanimous with votes in favor of both propositions, Proposition A and Proposition B. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, having read the statement for the city clerk, I'll now entertain a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2020-054, certifying the results of the election. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Councilman Hargrove. The item passes unanimously. Okay. With more than 2/3 approval of Proposition A's and B, authorizing the levy of a special tax, I'd now entertain a motion and a second to approve the introduction of ordinance number 2020-010, authorizing the levy of said special tax. Motion from Councilman Hargrove, second from Councilman Lucio. And the item passes unanimously. Fred, if you'd please read the ordinance title into the record. Oh, I should have done that before reading the vote. I know, doggone it.
It will be in the record. Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. The following ordinance has been approved by the council, ordinance number 2020-010, 2020-10, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, California, acting in its capacity as the legislative body of Community Facilities District Number 2020-1 of the City of Chino Services, authorizing the levy of special taxes. And that's reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And as noted, the item passes unanimously. Okay, we will move on now to new business. Item number 25, award of contract, Police Department Roof Restoration Project, MS 210. This is to award a contract in the amount of $282,440 to R&R Roofing and Waterproofing Incorporated from Lake Hills, North California for the Police Department Roof Restoration Project. Staff report this evening will be provided by our projects manager, Carolyn Baltzer.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. The current fiscal year budget provides funding for the Police Department Roof Restoration Project. The existing roof is approximately 30 years old, and over the past couple of years, there has been an increase of roof leaks. An inspection of the city's roof by the city's roofing consultant determined the roof was in need of repairs. The project scope of work includes the removal of the failed existing coating and the replacement of all damaged cap sheets. The roofing material exceeds the current Title 24 building code requirements and will have a 20-year unlimited warranty period, including all labor and material. A notice inviting bids was published in the Chino Champion and on Planet Bids. On August 6, 2020, 10 bids were accepted electronically. The lowest bid submitted was R&R Roofing and Waterproofing Incorporated of Lake Elsinore, California, in the amount of $282,440. Staff reviewed the contractor's licenses, bonds, and references, and have determined them to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. At this time, staff is requesting City Council's approval to award a contract in the amount of $282,440 to R&R Roofing and Waterproofing Incorporated for the project and authorize expenditures of up to $28,244 for project contingencies. The City Attorney's Office has reviewed all the documents and found them to be in order. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Carolyn. Are there any questions of Carolyn this evening? Mark?
Just one. So I know this is a two-part item, but, and I thought of this initially, so I'm just kind of doing this more for the public's general knowledge, because it came to me was, wow, didn't they just build that, police station, and now they're spending $1 million? And so, I mean, it came obvious as I've listened to you talk, is that we actually did a good thing as we ate up about 10 years from the old that they ate up when the roofing existed, and we didn't just go in and fix it whenever we went in. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, they did have a roofing consultant at the time inspect the roof, and at that time, the roof was in good condition. There were areas that were in need of repairs. They made the necessary repairs, and they did apply a roof coating over there that only had a 2-year warranty. So we've exceeded that.
So we've wrung this out for as much as we can, right?
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Thank
and
you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, Tom.
So it's a Home Depot roof, right?
Yeah.
It lasted quite a long time.
Also rebate.
Can we call Home Depot? See if
Coupon
they'll-
or something.
Yeah, that was good. Anyway, just a couple of things, Carolyn. I see that, this company, since they're a little over 20% lower than the next bid, which is pretty substantial, have they done any work in Chino before for us?
Yes, they have. They completed the City Hall roof restoration project and also replaced the roof at the senior center, and they've both jobs, they've done a very good job.
Okay, good deal. All right, that's all I got.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, this isn't a public hearing, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, then I will call for a motion in a second. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Lucio, and the item passes unanimously. Then item number 6, goes along with the other one, purchase order approval, the Garland Company Police Department Roof Restoration Project. This is to approve a purchase order in the amount of $716,839.20 to the Garland Company Incorporated, Cleveland, Ohio, for the purchase of roofing materials for the Police Department Roof Restoration Project. And our staff report will once again be provided by Carolyn Baltzer.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. With the approval of the water contract to R&R Roofing and Waterproofing Incorporated for the Police Department Roof Restoration Project, we would like to request the approval to purchase the roofing material. To obtain best pricing for the project, staff elected to separate the project into two components. The first component consisted of bidding the cost for the roof restoration directly from a roofing contractor to install the new roofing material. The second component consisted of purchasing the roof material directly from the roofing manufacturer, eliminating any contractor markup costs, reducing the overall cost of the project. The roofing material is being purchased through a cooperative purchasing agreement at the cooperative purchasing price. The city attorney's office has reviewed all documents relative to the cooperative purchasing agreement for the Garland Company Incorporated and found them to be in order. At this time, staff is requesting City Council's approval for a purchase order to be issued to the Garland Company Incorporated in the amount of $716,839.20 to purchase roofing material for the project. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Any questions of her on this item?
Yeah, just one quick question. In looking over these, the material, I see the material that you spread out on the roof comes in 4.5-gallon containers, right? They're like probably, and there's 1,050 of those have got to be put up on the roof. 1,050 containers. So, Mike, I mean I could just see people. Obviously, they use forklift or something to put those up there. But I think we should, if we can get those containers back and we put our logo on those, and we could sell the containers later. I think that'd be a great idea.
Oh my God.
Okay, I think it'd be a nice collector's item
You
or
could
something.
give them away.
We could give them away. Yeah.
Put our logo on
So
them and
see
give
if we
them
can get
away.
those containers. Okay. I don't know where we put them, but I think
How
it'd be
would
a
you
cool.
clean them?
Huh?
How would you clean them?
I have no idea.
See, no.
Power wash.
Yeah.
He's not the detail guy.
The detail.
Our public works department can work miracles.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, this isn't a public hearing, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion. It's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Lucio. And the item passes unanimously. Item number 27, award of contract, TDA Bicycle Access Improvement Project, ST 182. This is to award a $165,575 construction contract with CalStripe Incorporated for TDA Bicycle Access Improvement Project, ST 182, Phase 1 at various locations. Staff reports this evening will be provided by our CIP manager, Maria Frazier.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience. The TDA Bicycle Striping and Signing Improvement Project consists of installing bicycle lanes, bicycle boulevards that will connect to various transit areas. These improvements will provide continuous pathway to major facilities, and it will include installation of striping, traffic legends, traffic signs, and posts. This project will meet current bicycle standards as well as Caltrans standards. The funds facilitating the design and construction of this project come from a Transportation Development Act grant, also known as TDA, secured by the city back in 2018, and from the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Funds. The objective of the TDA grant funds is to construct bicycle, sidewalk, street, and ramp improvements for pedestrians and provide transit access. A notice of inviting bids was published locally and advertised on the Planet Bids website. And on August 18, 2020, 7 bids were received, a summary of which is the result is included in your staff report. CalStripe of Colton, California was deemed to be the lowest responsible and responsive bidder with a base bid in the amount of $165,575. The project is expected to be completed by mid-December. Therefore, it is staff recommendation the council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of Maria? Okay. Once again, this is not a public hearing. Of course you want to speak, Stubby. Come forward.
Somebody has to get the duty. Thank you. I just want to remind staff, because this has been a continuing problem in the past, bicycle lane striping must be discontinuous through all crosswalks, including T intersections. This is something that we have failed on in the past. These are all new striping conditions, so it's not a matter of replicating the existing. I haven't examined the plans, possibly that they do indicate this, but in the past, they have not. So please discontinue the striping through the crosswalks. Thank you.
Maria, take note.
Thank you, Sebi, for your comment, and I believe that we meet that condition on our plans.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion in a second. It's a motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, and the item passes unanimously. Okay, item number 28, award of contract for project SW213 sewer reline at various locations during fiscal year 2020 through 2021. Award a contract to Sancon Technologies Incorporated, Huntington Beach, in the amount of $319,315 for sewer reline at various locations for FY 2020 and 2021, SW213. Maria, you're up again.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience. The item in front of you today is the CIP Sewer Reline Project for fiscal year 2020-2021. The project consists of about 8 segments that have been identified via televised sewer inspections by staff. The segment locations are outlined on your staff report. Staff published a formal notice inviting bids via Planet Bids website on July 16 and locally on July 18 and 25, and July 25, 2020. On August 12, 4 bids were received, a summary of which results in your staff report. And Sancon Technologies, Inc. from Huntington Beach was deemed to be the lowest responsible and responsive bidder with a base bid in the amount of $319,315. This project is expected to be completed by mid-January of next year. Therefore, it is staff recommendation. The council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions of Maria? Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, then I would entertain a motion in a second for item number 28. Motion from Councilman Rodriguez, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, and this item passes unanimously as well. Thank you, Maria. Next on the agenda is mayor and council reports. Gosh, we haven't met since July 21st, so quite a few things. So on July 23rd, I went, gosh, how do you go to a meeting? I was Zoom and go to meeting. Water Master Ground Level Monitoring Committee and Water Master Board of Directors. On the 25th of July, we had the Yates Field dedication, which was very, very nice. It was a shame that it couldn't have been a large dedication, but because of COVID, it had to be small. But it's a beautiful field, and it honors our past mayor, I think, in a wonderful way. Then on the 30th in the morning, I attended Rodney Lombard's Walk of Honor. He retired from the police department. Sure sorry to see him go. He was such a wonderful guy, but he deserves his retirement, and I hope it's very, very enjoyable for him. I understand he might be moving out of state. Hopefully he changes his mind. Not for a while. Not for a while, but I guess his family's trying to convince him. I guess they want to move to Nevada, and they're trying to get him to stay. So, and then let's see. A lot of our meetings were canceled because of a lot of different agencies went dark in August. But on August 13th, there was an appropriative pool Zoom meeting and a Metro Valley committee, that's San Bernardino Transportation Authority. And then I attended a meeting with the In-N-Out folks who are going to build a warehouse in our beautiful city, and talked to them a bit about renaming a street and some of the architectural niceties that they might be providing. Let's see, then I a Zoom meeting for Rotary on the morning of the 18th with a special guest speaker from Nohi. Is it Nohi? It's hard to pronounce. Anyway, it's, yeah, really good organization. Then I attended the candidate information here at City Hall also the morning of the 18th, where all of the candidates running for this election met. It was very interesting. It was nice to meet everyone face to face. The next morning on the 19th, we had the mayor's prayer breakfast via Zoom, and that was well attended. I sure miss getting together with those guys. They're quite a good group. Then the appropriative pool also had a confidential session that morning via Zoom. I was interviewed by Omnitrans in the afternoon about their future plans. And then there was an advisory committee on the 20th, which was go to meeting. On the 21st, August 21st, Community Services organized a drive-through honoring Senior Citizens Day. And so my husband and I participated in his 56 Nomad. They decorated the cars. There was a little beetle bug in the front, and then our car, and then a community services van, and some of the police officers on motorcycles, and then a fire engine. And so we drove around, I think it was 4 of the different senior citizen complexes. What a hoot. My husband, when we were invited to participate in that, he said, well, what do you mean drive around the city all decorated for the senior citizens? He says, people are going to look at my car and say, what are you, stupid? You know, a parade of one. So we found out that there'd be several cars, but it was really a lot of fun. A lot of the seniors, you know, come out and they wave. They miss, I think they miss getting together at the senior center, so that was fun. Let's see. And then, gosh, there was a water master meeting on the 25th and a West Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District Zoom meeting. There have been some detections of some of the bad diseases out there, West Nile virus and stuff, so please be sure to use your DEET wipes and be careful. The mosquitoes that are active right now are the Aedes aegypti, and they're the ones that can potentially carry dengue fever and Zika. They are fierce biters. They're little striped critters, and they bite during the day, not just in the morning and in the evening like the traditional mosquitoes. So they will bite you over and over again. So if you've noticed people that have a lot of red welts around their ankles and
Ankle
stuff,
biters,
yeah, they're ankle biters, seriously. But they can be very dangerous. You've got to pay attention to your house plants because they can breed in as little as 1 tablespoon of water. And you think, well, you dump it out, it's going to be all right. Well, the problem with these little critters is those eggs, you can dump them out and they can dry out, but if they get wet again, they're viable. So the only way you can really kill the eggs is to use a 10 to 15% bleach solution. Clean out the little saucers on the bottom of your plants. Make sure there isn't any standing water. But it isn't that the mosquito population has increased, it's that these little guys bite repeatedly where the traditional mosquitoes don't. So be careful of those. And I did a filming for the Baptist Church 50th anniversary, but I guess we have to do it over again because I guess some of the wording wasn't right or something was wrong, so we have to redo that. And that's it. That's all I have.
Yeah.
In a month where we had no technical meetings. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Howie.
Sheesh, you've been busy. I think it's interesting when Glenn Duncan used to give all the West Nile talk for all those years, and now you're
Oh,
doing
now
it.
it's me, yeah.
Use the wipes, right?
So water and
Right,
mosquitoes.
water, mosquitoes, yeah. Well, the
know.
mosquitoes have been bad this year, though. A lot of people,
They are.
they've been pretty active. I had to go out, I bought a nice one for outside, covers a half an acre. And that thing, it goes 12, I plug it in, 12, as soon as it gets dusk to dark, does that type of thing.
Yeah, I have two
And-
of them. I have one
yeah.
that covers a whole acre,
Yeah.
another one covers half an acre.
Right.
But
You
the
still-
little Aedes aegypti,
Yeah.
they're not attracted to it.
But I did notice a lot of zapping going on.
Yeah.
So, they work pretty good. Try to keep them out of the house. That's the key. So anyway, yeah, it's been 6 weeks since our last meeting, and, geez, normally we attend so many different events, and I looked and I did attend Dennis's dedication. That was really, really nice. I really enjoyed that. Rodney Lombard's retirement was fantastic. Rodney was so missed. He's a great guy. Just always a smile on his face, and just brings everybody their attitude up, and it's just he's going to be missed for sure. I attended 4 water meetings, 2 with the Chino Desalter Authority and 2 with Water Facilities Authority. Nothing really to report. Everybody just going on, keeping water moving. I think Craig Watkins, I just want to make a mention now because I know you're going to be adjourning the meeting in Craig's, and what a fantastic Chinoan he was. You could ask him anything. He participated in everything. He gave Chino his all, and I mean, it's a real special person, a rare special person. Craig was, and just a great guy. I'm going to really miss him. So that's it. And next week's my wife and we have our anniversary coming up. So that's next Tuesday night. Thank goodness it didn't fall on tonight because I would have probably got in trouble. But we're having our anniversary next week. I want to wish her a happy anniversary.
How many years? You better not goof that one up.
No, I know how many years. It's 47. So yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, I was talking. Somebody today was talking about they're having their 50th birthday party. And then I realized, oh my God, he was 3 years old when I got married. He's 50. And so that kind of wakes you up when you think of that.
Yeah.
But
Congratulations.
yes, thank you.
Councilman Hargrove.
Okay, I like Tom, it's been a long 6 weeks, but hasn't been much activity, but I did attend I think it was August 5th, the swearing in ceremony again at the police station. It's always a nice event. I recommend anybody that if you're aware of it, just come on out and support them. It's nice to see all the families there and how proud they are of their family members that are either beginning a career or promoting and at the end of their career. So congratulations to Lieutenant on his retirement. Just always a fantastic guy. I had a lot of interaction with him down at the prison, and just, God, he's one of those guys, you think when somebody's showing up and you got to have a meeting and then you see his face, you're like, oh, okay, no problem. Then it's Rodney. So
Always smiled.
always smiling, yeah. So he's surely going to be missed. I also have at least participated in and that I listened to the Chino Valley Unified School Districts. They're still on Zoom or virtual, so they'll have one again this week. But the only thing notable is that they continue on distant learning. They have not met the governor's changed 4-colored system, and how they'll ever figure that out, I don't know. Good luck to them again. I said they have one of the toughest jobs ever trying to figure that out. They were supposed to possibly go back August 31st, but that's if they've been cleared and all those things, and they have not. So that's going to continue on distance learning. Challenges to all the teachers and the families and parents and students and all of them. On August 11th, I attended virtually again the CIM, Citizens Advisory Committee. We have not had a CIW committee meeting since March, but CIM has continued to have theirs virtually. They've had some struggles down there. A lot of deaths, inmates. I think there are 21, 22 inmate deaths down there. There had been a decision made at some point that they were going to transfer non-positive inmates out of CIM to create room for those with positives. They transferred them to minimally San Quentin, which then had its outbreak, which has caused multiple deaths. Don't know if that has anything to do with the chopping of the head, but the secretaries of the Department of Corrections was retired as of last week. They have taken on the chief, I say chief deputy, but deputy director, who was Kathleen Allison, is now taken over as secretary.
Who was the secretary?
Ralph Diaz.
We met him.
We've met him, yeah, unique guy. But as it goes, the governor's not going to chop his own limbs off. He's going people underneath him. So, but kudos to him for his 29-year career. I'm sure it was very difficult at best, and he took on a lot of challenges. And who could have thought what we would have came up with in terms of this virus? So, the other announcement that was made by the warden, I think she said June, it may have been July 30th, thereabouts. She was confirmed as warden at CIM, so now she's official, can take that little white A off her name, which has probably been taken off down there on the sign. She's terrific. I still continue to support her completely, wholeheartedly. I think she's doing a great job down there, and
Did you work with her, Mark?
I did. Previously, in her capacity as a business manager, she was always terrific then, and then, of course, she went up the chain and kind of disappeared into other realms and other institutions and worked her way up to always willing to listen. And I guess that's always my number one criteria. If someone's willing to listen, then they've met me about halfway for sure, you know, at least in terms of that. And so congratulations to her. The other thing with the Chino Valley School District, and I'll let them speak, tomorrow we have a Measure G meeting. It's again virtual. You can go on their webpage and sign in and listen. Some of the struggles, and I think I saw it in the Chino Champion, were that they preserved school, the second school out there. I've said this before, you know, money's just getting gobbled up of that $750 million. It's amazing. What are we going on? At least 2016, so 4 years ago that passed. It's amazing what 4 years can do to a budget, especially in construction times. They have some challenges out there. Those that do know, they had canceled that agreement with the second school and the land use there with the Lewis development. And we're working on another piece of property. It's my understanding those negotiations have fell through, although I don't want to be a part of any of that stuff, but they're struggling with some agreement stuff. So hopefully they get that worked out, and they definitely need another school out there. And I think both entities realize that there's no way that you can have the preserve out there without having a second school.
Exactly.
It's like the mayor mentioned earlier, without, you know, parks and plan development, smart plan development. So
So
good luck.
we're not going to move forward with the piece of land that was planned for the second school?
Well, now you're talking about the land that was eliminated or the new in the core? Because the land that they developed, that they were discussing was in the core.
Right.
That, as far as I know, is still ongoing negotiations. However, they have fell out of kind of those friendly negotiations in terms of a few terms. I'm not privy to anything other than probably what I read in the paper. No one's told me anything other than that, or that they're working on negotiations. But, you know, hopefully they'll get that all worked out.
hope
And
so.
yeah, I'm sure they will. And then lastly, everybody have a happy Labor Day. Enjoy the
That's right.
Monday off if you get it off, and if you don't, too bad. Sorry for you.
Gee.
I'm retired, so I get them. I
Wow.
get them all off. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Councilman Lucio?
I have nothing to report.
Nothing, no. Councilman Rodriguez?
Yes, just a couple. Mark, Labor Day is every day for me, so I'm off. But anyway, to begin, August 27th, SCAG had their ETS, Emerging Technology Systems, and there's continued talk with the state looking forward to developing a Wi-Fi system through the state, which would be very good, because what we've learned through the COVID-19 is communication is very important, as we know, through schools, through businesses, through anything that we do. So the conversation is still there. It's moving forward, not only through the state, but also looking into federal grants that could supply the state and other states with quick data-driven information, which is important. Today, this morning, I attended the PD blood drive. No, I didn't give any blood. I had to go by appointment, so. But there was quite a few people in there, and it was well represented by people that were really giving to others in the community. And lastly, today, when you really think about it, September 1st is two important days, this important day, excuse me. In 1939 is when Nazi Germany attacked Poland and basically started World War II. And then September 1st, this day, 1864, General Hood of the Confederacy gave up Atlanta, which allowed Sherman to go all the way to the sea. That concludes my report.
Okay, history lesson. Councilman Councilman, good heavens, you've just been demoted. General Man, geez, here I come. City Manager Valentine.
I knew what you were talking about.
I'm going to change your title.
Mayor, I have no report. Thank you.
After all of that, huh? City Attorney Galante.
Sorry, no legal report. Thank you, Madam.
Okay, come on, Chief Simmons, you have to have something.
Yes, I do, Mayor. Thank you very much. And members of the City Council, appreciate this opportunity. Just wanted to share that we're seeing a scam pick up again. You guys are familiar with the phishing scams on the internet where you receive an email to click on a link, give your personal information. Well, we're now seeing that with your cell phone. So people are sending text messages with a link, click on this link, and they can be very deceptive. Just remember, don't click on any links in any emails or text messages from people you do not know. And if you're not expecting them and they are from a person you know, you might want to check with them to find out what that's about. So just guard your personal information and keep yourself safe. And that's all I have to report tonight.
Well, I had showed you one that I got, and it was supposedly from a business.
Yep.
So you're supposed to click on it, and I showed it to you, and you said, nope, don't. So I didn't. So I guess if you get one from, who knows, your bank, Amazon, whatever, do not click on it. Wait until the next day and call them.
Absolutely.
Verify that it's real.
Yeah, they will not send out unsolicited messages, these major corporations, things like that. These are coming from scammers overseas and very difficult to track down. So.
Yeah, to that, I'm getting one almost every week for FedEx. Well, I'm not expecting anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to take it off quickly.
Yeah, it's strange. We've even gotten to the point, we don't answer any phone calls at home anymore. We let it go strictly to voicemail. I mean, it used to be you could do the do not call and it worked. Nothing works anymore. I mean, I can't tell you how many phone calls every hour from these weird long numbers.
Yep.
It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, if they're not in my contact list, they can leave a voicemail message and I'll call them back.
Okay, thank you very much, Wes.
Thank you.
And Chief Shackelford.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. A few items for you tonight. Over the last few weeks, multiple personnel from the fire district have been all over the state assisting with fires, and that's through the Master Mutual Aid System. And just a reminder for all the taxpayers in the room, those expenses are reimbursed to the fire district. So local tax dollars are not supporting that. We are reimbursed through the Office of Emergency Services for those personnel costs. Today, the fire district launched a new app, Community Connect, and this is for residents of Chino Hills, and the unincorporated area that the fire district serves. And they can go on, register on this app with their residential address and provide any information that they choose to share about their property, any special needs that they have, or any specific medical issues or concerns related to responses there. And that information is confidential. Our personnel can only access it when it is activated through the CAD system to a 911 response to their home. So for more information, you can check our social media. There's links to that and also on our website, and it's completely voluntary for the residents of our community.
Oh, terrific.
Our
And it's
9/11
called Community Connect?
Community Connect, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The 9/11 Remembrance this year will be a virtual event due to COVID. So please, you can go to our social media accounts or also watch that through Facebook Live, and that will be on Friday, September 11th.
What time, Tim?
And I also want to give a shout out to Chino PD. I'm sorry.
What time?
It's going to be 6:40, so it'll be live, but it'll also be video where you can watch it at a later time. So it's going to start at 6:40 a.m. on Friday the 11th. I want to give a shout out to the men and women of the Chino Police Department. On Saturday, we had a contractor painting one of our fire stations, the station on Kimball, Station 63, and a person pulled up in a vehicle and stole the airless sprayer that the contractor was using to paint the facility. Chino Police Department investigated it, and they did make an arrest. Most cities, that would be a low-level crime that wouldn't warrant much effort, and we do appreciate the efforts of the fine Chino Police Department. It was a great story. Again, not a high-level crime that makes the news, but it's the little things that make the difference, and that wouldn't happen without the support of the council and the fine men and women of the police department that we have here.
You guys are a partnership.
Yeah.
You have to take care of each other.
We do appreciate those efforts, and again, many cities, that would just be a report that was filed, and nothing would come of it. So we
So
do
did they
appreciate
get the
that.
sprayer back?
I'm not sure about that. I think Chief Simmons could speak to that. I'm not 100% sure, but they did make an arrest, and that's the important part. So.
Did they get it back, Wes?
So they didn't, but they were able to find him because of the paint that was all down.
Are you serious? Oh, my gosh. Okay.
And the last item I have for you tonight is a bit concerning to me as the fire chief and also as a resident. There was some legislation that passed on Sunday that's now sitting on the governor's desk, AB 2147, and this was from Assemblywoman Gomez Reyes out of San Bernardino. And it's some legislation that will allow inmates who have trained at a state fire camp, so inmate firefighters, when they are released, they can petition to have their records expunged immediately and apply for firefighter positions. Wow. And that's very concerning to me, and I would hope it would be concerning to most of the residents.
Regardless of what the crime was?
There are some parameters to it, but it would allow them to have that expunged so they could become EMTs and would be able to pursue careers in firefighting. So obviously very concerning with the potential to have felons in people's homes. And I think there's an expectation when you call 911 about the caliber of people that are responding. So again, some concerns, a concern of mine as a fire chief of who we hire in the future.
When does it go to the governor?
It's sitting on his desk, and he has until the end of September to sign it. So hopefully he doesn't, but it was supported in past, typically along party lines. I think there was some Democratic opposition, pretty minimal, and then some substantial Republican opposition to it.
Okay.
And that concludes my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and with that, we're going to adjourn in the memory of Craig Watkins. Again, wonderful man. He's really going to be missed. The next regular meeting of the City Council will be held on Tuesday, September 15th at 7 o'clock in these council chambers, with closed session at 6 o'clock if needed. With that, we are adjourned.
Take care, Mark.